Hello there, Andrew again. And this is episode 149. And today we're continuing on the theme that we picked up yesterday. I just see here a word that I want to change. And so we're going to reprise just the text because there's more, and I'm wanting to pick up the more today. Matthew chapter 20, verses 20 through to 28. Then the mother of the sons of Zebedee came to Jesus with her sons, and kneeling before him, she asked a favour of him. And he said to her, "What do you want?" She said to him, "Declare that these two sons of mine will sit, one on your right hand and the one on your left, in your kingdom." But Jesus answered, "You do not know what you're asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I'm about to drink?" They said to him, "We're able." He said to them, "You will indeed drink my cup, but to sit at my right hand and at my left, this is not mine to grant. But it is for those for whom it has been prepared by my Father." Now, when the 10 heard about it, they were angry with the two brothers. But Jesus called them to him and said, "You know that the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones are tyrants over them. It will not be so among you. But whoever wishes to be great among you must be your servant, and whoever wishes to be first among you must be your slave. Just as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." So, here we have the consequences of the two brothers vying for the best spots. The others, when they hear about it, they are angry. And my hunch is that they're angry, and part of it is because it either didn't occur to them that this was a good option, or that they didn't get in first. The reality is that they all, in all probability, are also at some part, at least secretly, wanting the same things that James and John have sought. All of them, each in their own way, are lining up, in the words of Jesus, to be tyrants. Everyone wants to be at the top of the pile. And what we see is that Jesus again turns things on their heads. And he's back to the same theme, that the first will be last and the last will be first. Now, it's easy to imagine in Jesus' words that he's laying out a pathway to success, to leadership glory, to getting to the top of the pile. "Whoever wishes to be great among you must be your servant, and whoever wishes to be first among you must be your slave." And we might be thinking, oh yeah, okay, well that's the prescription. That's how we go about it. That's how we actually get to be somebody or get to the top. In a funny kind of way, he is. But the whole issue of servant leadership has become very much in vogue in the business world. It's been discovered that the best leaders tend to be servant leaders. Those who put the welfare of their organisation, of their staff, of their clients before their own. It's their job to lead by serving. Who'd have thought? I suspect, however, that Jesus is going much farther than this in what he's saying. I'll suggest that Jesus is giving a curative prescription to deal with ambition and overweening pride, to deal with the ego. It's the words that are interesting. Whoever wishes, wants, desires to be great. Think about that for a moment. It's about what's in the heart. Do you want to be somebody? Do you want to be seen as somebody significant? It's all about me. This is not about a job that needs to be done. It's about me being seen to be someone special, someone of authority, of power, of significance, someone who needs to be honoured and respected. It's about me getting to call some of the shots and to affirm my superiority, at least in my own mind. If you want to be a somebody, says Jesus, you need to become a servant of all the others. A servant, willing to put yourself out, willing to put their needs before your own, willing to live more for their well-being than for yours. A servant is one who gets paid to serve and gets to go home at night. And, says Jesus, he goes on to say, if you want to be more than just a somebody, so remember there's two parts to this. If you want to be great, whoever wishes to be great, let's go back to the original, where were we? Whoever wishes to be great among you must be your servant, and whoever wishes to be first among you must be his slave. If you want to be more than just a somebody, if you want to be at the top of the pile, the boss, the commander-in-chief, the president, you need to step down even lower than someone who wants to be just a somebody and become a slave. A slave is one who is owned, who is the possession, the property of somebody else. A slave lives only to please and seek the best of the one that they're bonded to. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, month by month, year by year. For as long as they're slaves, they don't get to go home at night to a different life. It's the slave's role to always be thinking only about the welfare, well-being, prosperity, and success of the person by whom they're owned. So it seems to me that Jesus is offering a prescription. If you detect these ambitions in yourself, the ambition to be somebody of significance, the ambition to be someone who's at the top of the pile, if you detect them, not to seek the best of others by serving, but wanting to show yourself to be somebody, perhaps, says Jesus, start practicing these disciplines of service, and acting like a bondslave will help you to put these things in a kingdom perspective. Maybe you'll be able to let those desires go. I don't believe that he's suggesting this as a method of advancement for those who desire to be somebody. Someone that others look up to and respect, or to be the top dog where you get to call the shots and have the adulation of others. Does this mean that there are no leaders in the kingdom? Of course not. Kingdom leaders are not in it, though, for their egos. Their leadership is offered in the spirit of service, motivated only by a desire to see everyone else succeed. There's a story about Mahatma Gandhi which goes a bit like this. Gandhi apparently started an ashram in South Africa. It's one of these communities, these Hindi communities, where each member of the ashram had to share the work to be performed in the ashram, including cleaning the common toilets. One day, Gandhi found out that the latrines were not cleaned, and that his wife was the one who was supposed to clean them that day. He asked his wife why she had not cleaned the toilets. "I don't want to clean latrines. It's the work of the untouchables," she retorted. Now, in India, in this time, and there's still an element of it there, there's a strong caste system that people were born into various layers and positions within society. There was a kind of karma from a past life. And the people who were at the very bottom were the untouchables. They lived in terrible conditions, and they did the worst, most degrading kind of jobs. They had no choice. This was their lot for as long as they lived. And she wasn't going to clean toilets, because presumably she came considerably higher up the food chain. And she wasn't going to do the work of the untouchables. And what was Gandhi's response? All work in this community is sacred. And none is more sacred than to devote ourselves to make the ashram pure, by cleaning the latrines. It's an act of worship. And seeing his wife's reluctance, Gandhi said he would clean them himself. His wife, realizing that she'd made a mistake, promised she would clean the latrines that day. And I'd imagine, I don't know if it was true, that Gandhi was on the roster with everybody else. I read a book on leadership, talking about different companies and the values that they live by. And that the values of a company, if they're good, they apply to everyone, from the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer, the top dog down. One company that was reported in the book had a planning retreat and came up with its value statement. One of their values was, we all sweep floors. They were indicating that they were all in this together, and that there was no job that was beneath any of them if it was required to get the job done. One of the leadership team resigned on the spot, recognizing that this was not a company he wanted to work for. And he was clean and clear about it, that sweeping floors or doing any of the menial tasks was not one of the reasons he joined the company. He wanted to be one of the ones who expected the good things and the good life, and there was no way that he was going to demean himself in that way. And so again, we come back to Paul's model of the body of Christ. We all have a part to play. There is no one who is indispensable. All are valued. Where one part is missing, we are all diminished, all lessened. And Jesus here is calling us to examine our motivations, whether it's to be someone or to serve the needs of others, the well-being of others. We can be leaders in kingdom terms. Jesus is warning us, though, that what motivates us is key. And he completes the story with a demonstration of himself. He says, just as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many. He was here to give his life away so that others might succeed. We see one of the key examples of that just in terms of service on the night of his betrayal, the night in the upper room, where he shocks the disciples by washing their feet. That just never happened. But he models for them and calls them to serve and to lead in the way that he is leading, by serving others. And ultimately he gives his life as an act of service that we might all live. Wow. God bless you.